Hey guys, it is Chef Kayla with Waller Avengers. So it is spooky Halloween season and Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and then before you know it, it will be Christmas. So what is one of the number one desserts that you have during Thanksgiving and Christmas? Pumpkin pie. So today I am going to show you how to make pumpkin chiffon pie. So stick around and we will show you how. So this recipe comes from A Little Taste of Heaven, the Morehead City Heritage CookBook. As you can see, it's one of my favorite recipe books. I actually bought it right in Morehead City, North Carolina, obviously, because it comes from Morehead City, North Carolina. So not only do I love the recipes in this cookbook, but knowing me and knowing the channel, I love history, and some of the recipes in this cookbook have little stories that go along with them about the locals in Morehead City and about how these recipes pertain to their family, which is really cool. So if you look in the cookbook where the pumpkin chiffon pie is, there is actually a snippet of the family who submitted the recipe. So Kathy Chalk submitted this recipe for the cookbook, and at the end of the recipe she gives us a little bit of insight of how this recipe pertains to her family. To sum up the story, basically when the Skinner sons came back from World War II and brought back their wives, they would always get together for Christmas and Thanksgiving. But eventually their families grew so big and the mothers of the family grew older, as people do, and it was harder for them to get together and make these big, huge, extravagant meals for Christmas and Thanksgiving. So after each family had their meals, they would all meet up and have desserts together. So Kathy Chalk says, and I quote, "Every Thanksgiving they would gather at Bill Clark's after their dinners and enjoy 4 or 5 delicious Thanksgiving desserts. With coffee and hot spiced tea, pumpkin chiffon pie was the favorite. The desserts would be followed with a family football game in the lot across the street. Then every Christmas Eve, both families would gather after their meals at the Skinner Chalks for 4 or 5 Christmas desserts, eggnog, and punch. Catherine always served chocolate roustes and small presents for exchange. The holiday desserts will always be remembered along with the loving family feelings." It brings tears to my eyes. So after that warm, heartstring tugging, tearful story, let's get to making this awesome pumpkin chiffon pie. So for this recipe, you're going to need a pie crust. You can either make it from scratch or frozen. We're using a frozen one today. Ground ginger, nutmeg, ground cinnamon, allspice. You're going to need eggs, milk, salt, sugar. You're going to need 1 envelope of unflavored gelatin, and of course, the pumpkin. So for the pie crust, I got the Pillsbury Pie Crust Deep Dish. Ooh, deep dish. So you're going to have to follow the directions on the back. And like I said, if you want to make your pie crust from scratch, by all means, go for it. But the first thing we have to do is heat our oven to 400 degrees. So bake. 400, start. So we're going to give it a little bit of time to get heated up. So before you put your pie crust in the oven, you're going to want to let your crust thaw out for about 10 to 20 minutes. Then once it is thawed out, you're going to prick the bottom and around the sides thoroughly with a fork. So that's what we're getting ready to do. All right, so you can see the pie crust is thawed out a little bit. It's got a little crack there, but I think it'll be all right. So it's thawed out, nice and ready to go. So we're going to prick the sides with a fork. As you can see, I'm trying to gingerly do it because I've already kind of cracked it over here. But, I mean, I think it'll still be all right. Alright, so once the oven is ready to go, we will stick this in the oven for about 10-14 minutes or until it's lightly browned, and then we'll let it cool. So in the recipe, it calls for egg whites and egg yolks. So I'm going to show you a cool way to separate them. Alright, so we're going to take our egg, plop, another egg, plop. Alright, so if you're new to cooking, that's the yolk. And the little phlegm around it is the whites. So we're going to take our water bottle, squeeze it, and go blunk. And we got the yolk in it. And we're going to squeeze it out. We're going to do the next one, hopefully. Catch it. Got it in the water bottle and dump it out. So now we got the egg yolks. And we got the whites of the egg separated. Alright, so as y'all heard when I was getting the eggs ready, the oven is ready to go. So I'm going to pull out a pan. I got a pizza pan because it's round. I'm going to place it on top and I'm going to stick it in the oven. Whew. I'm like burning my eyebrows off. Okay, so the first thing the recipe calls for is combine first 7 ingredients in saucepan. So my advice is don't turn the saucepan on just yet. Don't turn it on heat yet. As you can see, it's not hot. I can touch it. And then add in your first 7 ingredients because they are like the sugar and the gelatin and the like nutmeg and all that stuff. And it's a solid, so you don't want it to burn before you put the liquid in. So the first thing is 1 envelope of the unflavored gelatin. Next you'll need a 1/2 cup of sugar. You'll need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Then a 1/2 teaspoon of allspice. Then you'll need 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. Then you'll need 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Alright. Alright, so those are your first 7 ingredients. Then you're going to want to turn your saucepan to medium. While it's heating up, you're going to want to put in your 3/4 cup of milk. I'm using almond milk. I'm going to stir it up a little bit. Go ahead and stir it up so that way the sugar and all that doesn't start sticking to your pan while it's starting to heat up. Then you'll need your 2 egg yolks. Blunk. Go ahead and stir them up into it. Okay, the next thing you're going to add in is pumpkin, but I'm going to let it dissolve halfway before I put the pumpkin in there. Alright, it's partially dissolved. So I'm going to add in the pumpkin. Alright, then you're going to stir it around until it all mixes together. You can see it's still a little liquidy. But the more you stir it, the more solid it will become. There it goes. Alright, it's starting to become a solid now. Not a figuratively a solid, meaning it's all together. So I'm going to keep stirring it until it starts boiling, and when it starts boiling, then I'm going to take it off the heat and let it sit. So you can see all the gelatin, all the sugar, and all that is dissolved into the pumpkin. You can see it's kind of all one thing together. So you can see it's starting to boil. You'll see it popping and stuff. And so you can see it's boiling. I'm going to let it get a little hotter. Alright, so you can see it's starting to boil, so I'm going to pull it off the heat and let it chill and let it sit off to the side. Alright, so the next step is to beat egg whites until soft peaks form. So you can see I transferred the egg whites into a bowl so I can beat it better. And I got our handy dandy beater. Going to set it to beat and whip. And here we go. You can see it's already starting to foam up a little bit. So you can see it's a little foamy. It's not at the soft peak yet. Right, Great, so now you can see it's still a little foamy, but it's kind of at a soft peak. You can see how it just peaks up like that. So now we're going to add some sugar so that way we can get hard peaks. Alright, should look like this. I'm going to pour our pumpkin into the pie crust. It smells really, really good. It smells like a pumpkin pie, like no doubt. I'm excited. Pumpkin pie is like my favorite Thanksgiving and Christmas dessert. Smooth it out a little bit. Make sure you get all the bubbles out of it and rotate it around. Right, now we're going to stick it in the refrigerator to let it firm. So now we're going to stick it in the refrigerator to let it sit and chill and get firm. Now after chilling in the refrigerator for a couple of hours, it is ready for a taste test. Alright, so we got our piece of pumpkin chiffon pie with a little bit of a whipped cream on top. I'm going to taste it. This is really, really good. It tastes exactly like a pumpkin pie should. You can taste the cinnamon and nutmeg, and it's fluffy. The difference between a pumpkin pie and a pumpkin chiffon pie is the texture. Pumpkin pie is normally thicker, but the pumpkin chiffon is fluffy and airy. The reason why it's fluffy and airy is because of the whipped cream that is added to the pie filling. But man, it is pretty good. So I hope you enjoyed our pumpkin chiffon pie video. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you are subscribed. And hit that bell icon to get notified on when we drop videos like this one. Also check us out on Instagram and Facebook. And while you're on our Facebook page, check out our little shop where we sell the Beast Box from Rogue Magnetics. And we have the Ancestry and Cookbook. So in the description of this video, you can find a link to our bigger shop where you can find t-shirts, hoodies, drinkware, and stickers. You can get you a shirt exactly like this one. So thanks for watching. See you soon.